Hey guys, I'm Smrita Saru, a student of Imperial World School studying in grade 10. Today I'll be explaining to you about how a client-server network model works. Before we get into that, let's start with the definition of network architecture. Network architecture defines how computers communicate and interact with each other in a computer network. There are three types of network architecture: client-server network model, peer-to-peer network model, and centralized computer network. Let's get straight into what client-server network model is. Do any of you know what a client-server network model is? As you can see, I have prepared a client-server network model using the help of recycled materials that I found at home, such as cardboard, A4 paper, chart paper, and straws. So basically, a client-server network model is a network model where there is at least one server and one or more workstations, which are also known as clients. It is also called the domain model. The server computer in this model controls and manages the resources of the network which are sent to the client computers. To access the resources of the server, a user needs to have the rights. That means that an unauthorized person cannot access to the resources of the server. So it is also regarded as a highly secured networking model. So now let's move on to the advantages of client-server network model. While I was explaining what a client-server network model was earlier on, I had already mentioned one of the advantages of it. Can you guys guess it? Yes, one of the advantages of client-server network model is that unauthorized people do not have access to the resources of the client-server network model. And the other advantage of the client-server network model is that it can be expanded to any size. As you can see, I've used 5 client computers. However, the number of client computers can be expanded to the desirable amount that the person needs. Now let's move on to the disadvantages of client-server network model. While I was explaining what a client-server network model was earlier on, I had already said that the server is the one which controls and manages all the resources that are sent to the client computers. This means that if the server is damaged, then the entire network model is failed because the server cannot send any resources or messages to the client computers. And the other disadvantage of client-server network model is that a highly skilled person is required to handle the network model because it is very difficult to handle it if you are unskilled or if you are semi-skilled about the network models. This being said, I would like to end my presentation over here, and I hope you guys have learned a little bit about what client-server network model is, and I hope you guys have also understood the advantages and disadvantages of a client-server network model. Thank you.